Welcome back, everybody, to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Today is September 27th, Saturday. Bayern Munich had a great win yesterday against Werder Bremen that we're going to talk about, and Chelsea just had pretty much a disastrous loss to Brighton. Bayern winning 4-0, Chelsea losing 1-3. Thanks for joining us here at Always Bayern Chelsea. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, join in on the conversation.
Yeah, welcome to the Always Bayern show, because there's one team that's playing, one team that's not. Pretty clear which is which there. Interesting weekend. This Chelsea team has basically destroyed my life the last few weeks here, and it's pretty depressing. So we'll see what happens. But thanks to all you out there that are listening. If you're a Chelsea fan, really, I would do your best to go outside, enjoy the weather. If you have nice weather, do not watch Chelsea up until this international break, because you're just going to see heartbreak, pain, and misery. And if you're a Bayern fan, keep enjoying life.
Fair enough. Well, let's start and bring the vibes up maybe with this Bayern Munich match. Again, crushing Werder Bremen 4-0. And in my opinion, just a really impressive performance overall for Bayern. And if you watch the preview, Werder Bremen's dealing with some injuries. They haven't looked at their best so far. So it wasn't like Bayern was playing a world beater, but there's still a lot of reasons to be really pleased with what you saw for Bayern Munich in this one, in my opinion. And, maybe some fans will nitpick some things. There's always people that find certain mistakes that they want to talk about. And in my opinion, there's times for that, and there's times to just soak in a win. And in my opinion, this one was one to take the win and really be happy with what you saw.
Yeah, and I have some advice for the fans out there that are like that. You need to get a life. I've said this in the past, that these people need to get a life. It's 1,000% true right now. Watch Chelsea against Brighton if you're that fan, and then come talk to me pretending that you're a Chelsea fan. Seriously, do that if you're one of those fans. You have zero life, you're miserable, and you're not looking at the joy in life. That match yesterday was literally just a domination, and if you have nothing but joy, that's crazy. So credit to Bayern for keeping the momentum and dominating a lesser opponent.
Yeah, and again, Bayern will eventually slip up this season. It's not going to be a perfect season. It really never is. But right now, this team is humming. This team is playing great. And I don't care who they're playing and who they're beating. You just got to love it, in my opinion. That was about as close as you can get to a perfect performance from a team that you're going to be supporting. So hats off to Bayern. Hats off to Vincent Kompany, who has been great lately. He's been pushing the right buttons. I've loved his man management, his subs overall. Again, maybe a few things you like to see differently. I don't think I wanted Kimmich to get into this game because he was sick and Bayern was dominating. But again, this is such a small thing that overall you just got to be in love with what you're seeing. So starting off with the lineup here, Manuel Neuer was the keeper. Erbig is out right now with an injury, unfortunately, because I thought this would have been one of those matches that you could think about playing Erbig. But no, it was Neuer, and Neuer did what Neuer does. The back line I thought was great. Sasha Boué, Diet Upamecano, Jonathan Tah, and Konrad Laimer. All of them I thought were really, really good. Weren't challenged very much, but I really have no complaints. Especially want to give a shout out to Tah and Laimer for scoring. And I also thought Sasha Boué did great. And if you listen to this show, I'm not always in love with his performances, so it was good to see him put up a good shift, in my opinion. The midfield was Leon Goretzka and Tom Bischof, and it's funny, I'm actually looking at the ratings here on this SofaScore app. Goretzka is rated as an 8, and Bischof is rated as a 6.9. I thought Bischof was one of the best players on the pitch. I thought it was an outstanding first Bundesliga start for Bischof, and I thought Goretzka was solid but not a world beater. He did have one kind of funny mistake, and it was only funny because Bayern dominated this match. If they didn't, and it would have actually led to a bad situation, it wouldn't be funny. But yeah, basically just tried to cross the ball kind of across the net to get an attack going on the other side of the pitch and just blasted it out of bounds for a corner. But Yeah, I would personally probably switch those ratings, Goretzka and Bischoff. I really did think Bischoff did really good. The attack was Michael Olise, Serge Gnabry, Luis Diaz, and Harry Kane. We'll talk about this more as the match goes on, but Gnabry, it looks like, is rated pretty low, but I would have given all the attackers a pretty good grade. They were all just causing headaches up and down the pitch. And, while there's, again, things that you could say weren't always perfect, I thought they were really, really good. And Kane, of course, scoring a brace, breaking history, getting 100 goals for Bayern faster than anybody has gotten 100 goals for a club, breaking Cristiano Ronaldo and Erling Haaland's record. They had 105 games. Kane did it in 104. So really, really great game overall, I thought, for Bayern.
Yeah, tremendous game from Bayern, and I liked the lineup that Kompany put out. Kimmich finally not starting, whatever the reason was for that. I think it's the correct one. He just needs to get some rest. You need to play these other guys, as we've talked about a ton this season. And it doesn't matter what lineup you put out at this point for Bayern. I think they're just going to go out and dominate all these opponents. That's what they've been doing. When you have the attack they have, all these players are humming. I think the defenders have been way better than people give them credit for, the midfield as well. So I think every button Kompany's pressing right now is the absolute perfect one, and he's continuing to do that. So, again, credit to Bayern for that, and just blowing away this opponent. I mean, from the first minute, Bayern dominated, and I had to check the stats because I thought to myself, did Werder Bremen even have any shots? Turned out they had 9, but just never even had a chance of scoring in this match.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it. They did have that one goal that was offside, and then there was maybe 1 or 2 good shots that I can think of that Neuer had to actually save. The rest of them were basically nothing, way over the net or whatever. So really just a domination from the start. And, Bayern in the beginning, I noticed a couple of things. They maybe weren't exactly sure what was going to be the plan for the midfield, because at first Bischoff was kind of dropping deep and forming a back three with the center backs and, starting possession like that. Eventually Goretzka kind of switched roles with Bischoff at one point, and Goretzka was dropping deep. So a little bit of that, but it didn't harm Bayern at all in terms of Bayern was dominating possession. You could tell they were going to score. First 10 minutes, maybe, Kane had 2 really good chances that are not quite sitters, but are chances that he should make. A player of Kane's caliber definitely should, and he usually would make those. And then Olise had a shot. Maybe Diaz and Gnabry had some right in the beginning. So Bayern was just controlling possession, controlling the game, and getting shots off. And again, the finishing maybe wasn't there in the first couple of minutes, but you could tell that it was going to come around, and Werder Bremen was really going to have no chance in this one.
Yeah, I thought it was a classic start from Bayern, where you see that they're sniffing out a goal, and Kane, to his level of play, would tell you that he should have 2 goals very early on, definitely at least 1. And I just knew Kane was going to score at least 2 when I saw that start. I knew Bayern was going to put in a few before the half ended, and that's exactly how the start was. And I loved the start from the team in the attack. I did think Bischoff kind of forming that back three looked tremendous, really dictating play, made a lot of great passes. Nothing super special, but just solid play, and that's all you can ask for from him. So that was awesome to see as well.
Yeah, and that was the thing too, because Bischoff, he went from starting every game for Hoffenheim to going to Bayern Munich, where the depth chart in the midfield, he's probably 4th right now behind Kimmich, Goretzka, and Pavlovic. And so, especially with Kimmich, who starts every game, unless he's sick, I guess, it's going to be tough for a guy like Bischoff, in my mind, a guy who's younger, used to starting every match, to playing very few minutes. And so I was just happy that he did look solid. He was able to just make good passes, use his body to kind of block out defenders and make smart turns and progress the ball. And yeah, again, I was just really happy with what I saw from Bischoff in this one. And Bayern eventually breaks through in that 22nd minute with a really nice goal that was credited to Diaz, and then it was credited to Ta, and I think Ta gets the official goal now, but it definitely went off Diaz. basically, Gnabry wins the ball. So credit to Gnabry for even getting this play started. Finds Olise, and Werder Bremen gives Olise too much space for a guy of his caliber, and he's able to put in a cross. And Todd does this like back heel flick where super cheeky for a center back to do a move like that. Like, I was not expecting anything like that from Ta. So hats off to Ta. The ball I don't think was going in until it deflects off Diaz, and just like that, Bayern's up 1-0 off like a beautiful but kind of fluky goal. It was just kind of funny because Bayern had all these chances up to that point, and that's the one that ends up finding the back of the net.
Yeah, deserved goal for Bayern. They were threatening a ton, and you were bound to see the ball in the back of the net. No clue the rule on that, because the angle clearly showed that the ball is not going in and then deflects off Diaz. So for Todd to get that goal, he's paying off somebody for sure, because that's insane. But again, deserved goal, and yeah, Bayern go up 1-0.
Yeah, and again, like Bayern in this first half, they're not satisfied with one goal. They never are. They keep fighting. They keep pushing for more. And you see this offense just completely clicking. Olise, Diaz, Gnabry, and then you get Laimer in there and Kane at times too. Just overlapping each other, making these runs where it's pretty much impossible to defend. The offense is so fluid. Any of these four players in the attack are, and then including Laimer too, are anywhere on the pitch at once, basically. And, I want to give extra credit to Laimer because, yeah, he was playing as a left back in this one. The guy's a midfielder, although at this point, is he really a midfielder? Playing right back and then playing left back, and he's still as dangerous. It doesn't matter if he's with Olise on that right side, with Diaz on the left side in this one, and he's still just getting up into the play. And we talk about it all the time, but he's such a workhorse. I mean, the guy is running, energy, aggressive, getting up in people's faces, and like, I don't know. I just think any team needs a guy like Konrad Laimer. I really just, I'm loving him more and more each game.
Yeah, I like Connie a lot. I think him and Boué deserve a ton of credit for this one. The overlapping that they were doing, I thought was tremendous, and I'm sure it's not going to get talked about enough how great they both were. So, again, credit to both of them. Connie, I think, goes under the radar time and time again, but he's one of the best players in terms of consistency for Bayern.
Yeah, agreed. And I thought the wingers were doing great too. And, you see both Olise and Diaz, spoiler alert, get an assist in this one. But, even when they're not scoring, is what I'm getting at. These guys are so good. And I showed you this tweet earlier that I saw that I think is pretty good. And it said that Diaz is a floor-raising winger, maybe not a ceiling-raising winger, although, to be honest, he's just a lot better than Bayern's left wingers have been, but in the grand scheme of things. And I just think that that's so true, that when Diaz is on the pitch, Bayern's floor is way higher, and I want to give him a lot of credit because, again, even when he's not scoring or getting on the score sheet, he's just so intertwined with this offense, and he's just working so hard. Diaz in this one did a great job of tracking back, too. I noticed multiple times where he dropped back to help Connie because he was so far up in the pitch, and it just seems like everybody's on the same page. Gnabry centrally, while it wasn't a Gnabry masterclass like we have seen as of late, I thought Gnabry was really good in this one too, and in just the way that he was affecting the play. And again, like all these guys, they're just on the same page. They're playing so well with each other, and they're just disruptive, and they're opening up the field for other attackers. They're creating chances themselves. So really, I just want to give a hats off to all four of these attackers in this one.
Yeah, Diaz is a tremendous player, and don't listen to the majority of Bayern Twitter if you want any analysis that's good on left wing play, maybe wing play in general. If Bayern Munich signed the second coming of Jesus Christ at left wing and he scored 100 goals a game, that wouldn't be enough. That wouldn't be a ceiling raiser for them. I truly believe that. Soccer Twitter in general, football Twitter, I just think wing play, it's a gripe I've talked about forever now, and it's something I truly believe that no winger is good enough except the elite few, especially on the left wing. So Diaz probably is a top 5 winger in the world right now, the way that he's playing ultimately. Certainly how his his price tag was. And
maybe left wing. I don't know about winger.
No,
winger
left
in general.
left wing. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, top 5 left wing. And it's crazy to me that people just don't know how to assess left wing, I think. And it's maybe unfortunate for Diaz because he's not going to get the credit ever that he deserves.
Yeah, well, Bayern finally gets that second goal then in the 45th minute, maybe first minute into stoppage time, where we see Kane get clipped in the ankle in the box, goes down, and, a softer penalty, but by the book, it is a penalty. I mean, his ankle gets hit there. And, Kane, just as he does, steps up and drills it. Not much else to say except Kane is just as automatic gets from the spot. So it's 2-0 that point. Bayern goes into halftime, and it's a comfortable 2-0. I mean, you're not really worried at this point if you're a Bayern fan.
Yeah, perfect analysis in terms of the softness but valid penalty. It's exactly what it was. You're going to call it. You have to call it. I felt this for a while. It's actually amazing how many penalties Bayern is able to draw. And I think that alone just shows how dominant of a team they are. Because when you're drawing that many penalties, it means that defense is on their back heel constantly. It's exactly what Bayern do. And it's a testament to their attack and how strong they are.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I would say, too, to people who talk about Kane's penalties. I get he scores a lot of penalties. 1, you still have to make them. 2, penalties are part of the game. 3, half the time it feels like Kane is the one drawing these penalties because of his movement in the box. And that's, I think, part of Bayern's game plan. I don't think they'll ever come out and necessarily say it, but to me, it seems like a big part of the Kompany system is just overwhelm these opponents with attackers in the box and just wear them down. Just do it all match. Just run and press, and for 90 minutes, wear them down until they break. And a lot of times, it happens because Kane's about to get an open shot and somebody just takes him down. So, say what you will about penalties. I get it. It's different from an open play goal. But again, it's just, I think, part of Bayern's ethos is there's just so much happening in there, and all these attackers are doing something, and again, causing chaos off the ball, on the ball, and eventually teams just wear down, and that's one of these things that I think is a key tenet of Kompany's philosophy, honestly, as a coach.
And again, that's what's frustrating about fans at times, because you just gripe and gripe and gripe about missed chances, this and that, and it's like, okay, fine. The best teams and the best players have the most missed chances. That's just the reality. When you're putting 30 shots in a game and having all these chances constantly putting pressure on, you're going to miss chances. That's not a bad thing. So stop griping. Stop, expecting like 10-0 every game, and you'll probably enjoy the watch better, because that's what's happening in these Bayern matches, and it's going to continue happening. It's a reality. They also make a ton of these chances. So I feel like I'm maybe complaining about Bayern fans and saying how I think it is, but this team is just incredible. Like, you just really can't complain right now.
Yeah, no doubt this team is hot. And are you going to look for the one possible negative thing, the Kimmich horrible pass in this one that leads to that offside goal? Or are you going to look at the 99 incredible things that this attack did? And, there's a choice to be made there. So, anyways, we go into halftime, like I said. Kompany goes to his bench in the 61st minute and brings Kimmich on and Guerrero. Goretzka and Gnabry come off there. And again, I said it at the start, I didn't need to see Kimmich in this one because I felt comfortable with that 2-0 lead. And if the guy's sick, like, why push it is my mindset. But I don't know. I know Kimmich is a tough customer to handle when it comes to needing to be on the pitch all the time. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is there. Kane gets the third goal in the 65th minute, which this goal, if you want to watch one goal from this match, go ahead and look at this one. I even retweeted it on Twitter because the whole play up to this goal was just beautiful football. It was just awesome passes. Guys, surveying the pitch well, playing out from the back. Upa, I think, was the one who started it. And then the ball eventually gets all the way up to Diaz, who puts off a nice, it looked like it was outside of the boot or top of the boot, pass over to Kane. And it was actually a perfect pass, and Kane is already basically anticipating it and kind of sliding with his boot out and gets on the end of it and just puts it into the back of the net. So at that point, that's Kane's 100th goal for Bayern. Again, I got the Kane kid on here for breaking history there, and you just love it. It was just an awesome moment all around.
Yeah, as you said, super great team goal. Seen quite a bit of debate on the internet about whether this was a pass by Diaz or not. I personally think it was, depending on the angle.
Yeah.
It's tough to tell. You could say he was maybe trying to shoot and scuffed it. I just don't think he was trying to shoot in that moment with all those defenders around him. Could I be wrong? Yes. Would he ever admit that he was shooting? Probably not. Nonetheless, it's such a great team goal. Good finish by Kane. Again, Bayern were just looking so smooth in this. All the passes that they were creating from the back were tremendous, whether it was Bischof, Goretzka, Gnabry dropping deep at times, Olise dropping deep, Kane. They literally had so many options to pick from. These guys receiving the balls from the back line, pushing up pitch. It was insane. I mean, the amount of green space they had at times because of it. It was diabolically tremendous, and this goal really summed up all that in the perfect light.
Yeah, agreed. And I think, live, I couldn't tell what was going on. There's one angle where it really looks like a pass, and that's what I'm going to go with, I guess. But yeah, we did see like a number of other chances after this one. Kane had one, actually it was a little bit before this one, I believe, where, he's sliding, the ball just connects. Goretzka put this one in, and Bremen's defender, it might have been Friedel, just gets it right before Kane, and it was like millimeters away from being another one. Diaz had a couple of shots there. Gnabry had one that knuckled just like millimeters over the crossbar, and I don't know, that was almost a super sweet goal. So again, like, Bayern isn't satisfied when they score 1, 2, 3 goals. They just keep pounding and keep pounding. So I love to see that. And in the 78th minute, we got some more subs, which again, I'm all for it. I think Kompany has been doing his best this season to rotate effectively where he didn't last year. And, Kompany, in my mind, right now is the perfect coach for Bayern Munich. And I struggle to find anything wrong with what he's doing. Again, maybe you keep Kimmich on the bench, but I'm not going to harp on that because it's just, I think Kompany, his game plan is perfect right now. His man management is perfect. And he seems to be growing from last year in terms of his tactics, in terms of resting guys, and just maybe it's, hey, the team's been together now with this manager, roughly the same players for a year and a half or almost a year and a half. And maybe that's part of it. And it took him a little bit to kind of, first you have to get the fundamentals down, then you can kind of build and build and build. And it looks like he's perfect right now. So Carl and Jackson come on in the 78th, and Olise and Kane come off there.
Again, not to make this about fans' expectations compared to reality, but it's funny hearing you say that because I agree with you. I think Kompany's been absolutely tremendous. This season is a 10 out of 10 so far. Absolute perfection, 100 out of 10. I'm actually going to correct that too.
Yeah.
Not to mention Kompany won the league last year in his first year with the club. Being a young manager, coming from Burnley in English football. If you can't say that Kompany has done literally a perfect job in his tenure at Bayern, I just think he comes in, wins a league after they had a down year. Now he's at a perfect start to the year, but they've won every single match. If there's any talk out there, again, from people being negative on this team and this manager, I know Bayern's a different level. I know they're expected to win the league. I know they're expected to win every match in the league. Fine. That can be your expectation, but you can have that expectation and also give the man his flowers and his credit that he's due. Please. I mean, it's just not that tough to do both. Like, they've won every match this season so far. It's been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how you don't give him an A+ for this season at the moment. Again, last year, I would have liked to see a little bit more rotation to keep some of these guys healthy. But overall, like, what he did, I think just doesn't get enough credit in general, especially when you look at what he came into. I'm not saying Bayern, it's going to be it would take years, I think, to completely like destroy this club. So I'm not saying they were in the dumps, but coming off that trophyless season, not winning the league is a big thing for Bayern. And just the way that the locker room was splintered, the way that Tuchel really kind of alienated some players. I mean, it seems like forever ago at this point, but you weren't sure if Musiala was going to extend. You thought he probably would. You really weren't sure if Kimmich was going to extend. You thought he was out the door because of the way that him and Tuchel went at it. You thought Davies was probably out the door the way that he was used under Tuchel. And these are key guys who Kompany has managed to build up. Upamecano looks like a completely new man, and I'm not just talking about when he went bald. He looks like a completely different player under Kompany than he did under Tuchel. So again, so much, Goretzka too, so much to give Kompany flowers for, and I agree. I don't think he gets enough credit, just in general around the footballing world, from Bayern fans, whatever. So yeah, we saw the 80th minute. I did want to mention this because we did see a rough miss from Nico Jackson, who had space, had time, and live I thought it was one of the most horrible misses you could ever have, but he did slip. I did catch the replay, and he did kind of slip as he was shooting it, so I want to give him a little bit of grace there. And I'm not, going to completely bury the guy, but just calling it like I see it, he hasn't played good so far. Again, he's in a new country, he's with a new team, a new manager, all that stuff. So you got to give a guy like that time. But unfortunately, what's worse than the miss in my mind in this instance is what it could do to a guy like his confidence. So we'll see when he gets some minutes next. But it's just tough when you don't have a lot of minutes and you're trying to get acclimated, and then something like that happens.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but do not expect Jackson to be good for at least a month. I've seen Bayern's upcoming schedule. Unless he gets a start, which is the only possible thing that could help his game, he's not going to be great. I think you're eyeing up probably the next Pokal match for any semblance of a good play by Jackson. The opponents they play are tough. He's not going to get a start, in my opinion. He's never going to start over Kane against a good opponent, and I just don't love them together necessarily. So I really think you're looking at that Pokal match when he's going to have to start. You're going to have to bench Kane, I think, because that's when you need to see Jackson for 90 minutes or at least 60, just to see what he can bring and try to get his confidence up. That's just what you have to do, especially when you spend all this money on a guy to bring him in. You got to do your best to get him in good spots. You're right. He doesn't have the confidence right now, and he's in a new situation. It's tough for sure. And, we saw at Chelsea, he just has moments that aren't the greatest. So you just need to get him to his happy place. If you get him there, I think things could work out. But, yeah, right now it just could be tough for a while.
Yeah, I don't know if I even ever see him starting over Kane. I think I could see him starting alongside Kane, like in that 10 role before Musiala gets back here. But I just think that Kane is on such a tear right now. And I think, while Kane is an English gentleman, he's a media-trained guy, he would never, go out in public and say anything bad about needing to play every match or whatever. And we've seen him get rested a lot in terms of, like, he'll play 70, 80 minutes, which I'm a fan of. I think Kane has that dog in him. I really think deep down he has a little bit of the, like, I've been made fun of for so many years for not being able to, get it over the line in terms of winning a trophy. I think he really does, like, have some, maybe not spite, but a fire inside of him where he wants to just prove people wrong and just score, like, an ungodly amount of goals this year. And I think this is the year, especially with the World Cup coming up, obviously the English captain, I think this year he's just going to go for broke. And if he doesn't get injured, I think he's going to just get it. And I think he's going to break Lewandowski's goal scoring record in the Bundesliga if he doesn't get hurt. I just think he's going to want to play and play and play and score and score and score.
Yeah, I don't think he gives a shit about Nico, not in a bad way. I don't think he should give a shit about Nico. So he would probably tell you he doesn't want to not play in the Pokal. So that's probably going to happen. And I think it's unfortunate for Nico. I tend to like Nico and root him on, but that's part of why I just didn't think this was ever going to be a great fit for Nico, because he thinks he can come in and learn under Kane. That's not really a reality. And that's why Bayern have never really bought a second striker, because how are you going to come in and never play because Kane doesn't sit? Like, you just can't really learn under Kane. And that's nothing against Kane. Again, that's not Kane's fault. That's just the reality. That's what happens when you have a super good striker. Like, you're not learning under Haaland. You're not learning, it's just kind of the reality again. And it is what it is right now for Nico.
Yeah, I think Bayern was looking for a profile of basically somebody who can play striker, but also can play the 10, can play left wing. I think that's what they were just trying to do this offseason. And honestly, I thought that Nico and Kane could work together, and maybe they still can, but I never really see Nico playing on the left wing, especially because it seems like just Diaz gets every minute possible. And I don't know, like I'm not a huge fan of Gnabry on the left wing at times either, but I think I'd just rather see like Gnabry on the left wing and Nico at the 10.
Yeah, again, we'll just give Nico time. It's too tough to say. It's a tough start, and I have faith that they can work things out. Bayern's attack is too good. Like, if you're Nico and you don't play well, that's totally on you, not on the team.
Yeah, no doubt. So a couple just more things to mention about this match. We saw Wisdom Mike come on in the 84th minute. Wisdom Mike is, I think, 16. He might have just turned 17, but a real youngster. And, I was glad to give him some minutes. Same with Carl. I thought both Wisdom Mike and Carl looked pretty good. Mike is outside of having the coolest name ever, as I always say, he's more raw than Carl. Carl, of course, is still so young. He needs time as well to just kind of get acclimated, I think, to bigger, stronger guys, especially Mike and Carl are both pretty small dudes. But I really have no complaints with either of them. They were both creative. They didn't get on the score sheet, but they were both in there and causing chances. So again, just this was a perfect match to get those young guys some runtime, and I'm really glad and thankful that Kompany did it. 85th minute then is when we did see that offside goal that Victor Boniface scored. Just a horrible Kimmich mistake. He just passed it right to Bremen. But Boniface was offside, and I mentioned this to you earlier. Weird for me to see Victor Boniface kind of come on for Werder Bremen, in the end, and just because he was such a key figure in that unbeatable Leverkusen side. So it's almost like this huge fall from grace that happened in the last couple of years. And I mean, it's not really a fall from grace, but it just seems like his level is just so drastically different than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I never watched him a ton at Leverkusen, so I can't speak to his level. It was a nice goal that didn't count. I think it's just tough when you're moving around, joining different clubs. You're just going to go through peaks and valleys, as we talked about with Nico. Like, it's just tough to find your peak when you're constantly moving, and that's probably what he's dealing with.
He almost went to Saudi, and I've heard not the best attitude, so I never want to come on here and say that I know everything about a guy's attitude, but that's just the reports I'm reading. It's going to be interesting to see how his career develops, because this could either be a death sentence or it could be a second win, basically, and we'll just have to wait and see. 87th minute, Bayern got their fourth goal. Really nice assist from Tom Bischof, who found Konrad Laimer just making one of those overlapping runs. And again, we had our Konrad Laimer love session earlier in this episode, but really nice finish, I thought, just to curl the ball into the corner of the net, past Karl Hein, who, I didn't even mention this, Bremen's keeper, their second-string keeper, probably their best player, one of the better players on the pitch, maybe. I mean, the guy had so many great saves. He was rushing out into play, Neuer-esque, and still gave up 4 goals. So that just shows how good Bayern was on the day.
Yeah, I mean, any time where you block 2 Kane goals, 1 Olise goal, and a
3
Nico
Kane
Jackson
goals,
goal.
I think.
3 then. I mean, that's a great day. So Bayern could have easily had 7 goals. So shout out to him. And yeah, it's a great Laimer goal. We talked about him earlier, and continues to be an awesome player.
Yeah, so that's how that one ends there. 4-0, Bayern in their Oktoberfest kits, getting the win. And
beautiful kits, by the way.
Yeah, love the kits. I just wish that the United States government didn't impose such hefty tariffs, because otherwise I might get one.
We have talked about that I don't know if we talked about it on the pod, but yeah, the tariff issue is a big issue in terms of kits. But beyond the tariff issue, there needs to be a discussion somewhere about the overall expense of a kit, of any jersey, no matter what sport it is. Could be NFL, MLB, MLS probably, if they even sell kits. I'm just kidding. But it's such a shame because kits are awesome. They're so cool. Jerseys too, no matter what sport. They're so expensive. Like, you can just never buy them. You can never really justify it.
I mean, you really just have to hope that you were a good boy or girl this year and Santa Claus brings you one. That's really the only choice you have.
That's just a fact. Unfortunately, I get coal most years.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe this is the year. And, Bayern has a Champions League match this Tuesday against Pafos away in Cyprus. So, they actually got a good draw in their first Champions League match, 0-0 against like Ajax or someone like that, a team that I would have thought would have gotten the win. So we'll see what happens. You would think, I was going to say you would hope that Erbig would play, but he's injured, so not. It won't be Erbig, but maybe we'll see some other rotation from Kompany, and we'll keep you up to date on that one, of course.
Yeah, and before we even talk about that, just so you don't have to edit this in because you always forget, who's your man of the match?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My man of the match is going to be Kane, scoring that brace on a historic night for Kane. Again, he's just on a tear. I think he's got a fire in him this year. And it's not like he has never had that in his life. He's been great his whole life. But like this year, there's just something different about it, it seems like so far. I'm giving Bischof the Robin, maybe a little bit over appreciative of him just because I've been wanting to see more of him, and he played a good match in his first Bundesliga start. I'm giving the underrated player to Sasha Bouet and Konrad Laimer, the outside backs. Both of them just heavily underrated and very, very impactful in this one. And then defender, I'm giving to Jonathan Tah. So some unlikely culprits maybe in terms of, I've not shied away from criticizing Tah and Bouet so far this year, but both of them I thought were outstanding today, really outstanding.
Yeah, all good shouts, and I think really all the solid players. Bischof, Bouet, Laimer are my three that I really want to shout out. Kane, clearly the best player on the pitch, but those three I think just were special in terms of what you expect from them on a daily basis, so a special shout to them.
Yeah, again, we're heading away to Cyprus on Tuesday, and then it's Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, so that should be a good one. Frankfurt's been one of the hotter teams in the league so far. But yeah, now we're going to turn it over to Chelsea, and we'll see how much we want to talk about, because that was an ugly match on both ends for a good portion of it, and then towards the end, really, really ugly from Chelsea.
Yeah, beautiful day here in Milwaukee, and we watched just down the street here at Red Lion Pub with Dylan, who you saw on the preview pod, a Brighton fan. Shout out to him for getting a good win. He was desperate for one. Didn't even seem that happy with his win, but they did get a win, and they needed one. So I guess good for the Seagulls. But really, now that Cole is on my mind from Santa Claus, I hope every Chelsea player, every Chelsea manager, coach, director, any piece of the ownership gets Cole at Christmas. They deserve it. If they get any presents at all from anybody, no matter what religion, no matter what you celebrate, no matter who you're in a relationship with, if they're a gift giver, if that's their love language, I hope all that gets shut down and they get nothing, because Chelsea right now are a mid-table team at best. That's being very generous. Biased Jim, negative Jim will tell you they're a bottom-table team. But if I look at it realistically, at best I'll give them mid-table. And that is actually a fact. Like you can't argue they're a top half-table team. The mistakes they make, the decisions they make, the style they play, the tactical moves they make, the individual level of talent they have right now is super, super poor and mid. And that's the reality right now, unfortunately. So we might have to just reassess how we analyze this team going forward. It's unfortunate, but it is the reality.
Yeah, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand the Jekyll and Hyde nature of Chelsea, and I'm done trying to understand it, because we see them at times and they look like the most exciting young team in the world, and then we see them at times and they look like they are unable to string together a number of passes, unable to get any sort of attack going, and they look like they haven't played with each other ever before. So I don't know if that's on the manager, on the players. In reality, it's got to be on both. I don't see a way that it isn't on both, but just poor all around today.
Again, if you are not an American, maybe tune this out, but I've said this in the past, and I'm just thinking of it in the moment again. As a Green Bay Packer fan, these two teams, the Packers and Chelsea, are identical to me. It's so identical. You have two teams that are the youngest teams in their respective leagues with so much talent, an unreal level of talent. Talent alone, you could argue that they are one of the best teams in the world at their respective sports. Then they have a manager, a coach that is young, bright, with a ton of potential. At times, tactics, play calling is tremendous. Makes awful decisions all the time, whether it's subs, whether it's time management in the NFL, just makes awful decisions consistently. Then, because they're young and have a coach that clearly doesn't believe in discipline at all, they have a ton of yellow cards, ton of red cards, ton of penalties in the NFL. And they're going to have matches where they look like a disaster at all levels, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, set pieces. They make huge mistakes at times. So they're going to have losses where they look like a bottom half team. We saw that with the Packers against the Browns. We're seeing it now for Chelsea, these last few matches they've had. So it's kind of crazy how that mirrors itself, because you expect these amazing things, a Super Bowl potentially, a Club World Cup final that you actually win. And then the team hits you with a reality that's, you know what, we felt like just playing like absolute dog shit, and that's what we're going to give you. And as a fan, you're right, it's Jekyll and Hyde. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, the one thing I'll give the Packers is their defense has looked great this year, and especially the addition of Micah Parsons. But I get what you're saying, and it's true in a lot of ways. And this match was boring as hell, I thought, for most of it, or at least for a good chunk of it. And then that Chalobah red card, and then it's like all hell breaks loose, and it's like every couple minutes something insane / exciting is happening.
And it's lack of leadership, it's lack of discipline, it's lack of the right mentality. The fact that you keep making these same types of mistakes, you dominate for 50 minutes. Let's be honest, Chelsea dominated that match. I said it to you at halftime. Mm-hmm. Even though the game wasn't super exciting, you're up 1-0, you're completely controlling the match.
It's like 80% possession at one point.
Right.
Yeah.
And even had some good chances that were just getting blocked. They didn't have the end product, but things were looking good. They get a goal. And they just constantly fall apart. And that to me is totally mentality. And then every time that they fall apart, Enzo just says, all right, white flag, I surrender. Like, I get you have a red card, and that's not on Enzo Maresca. That's on the player for making a terrible decision in the moment. Fine. But then to make the subs he's always making, where you have 0 attackers on the pitch, so you're not going to be able to come back. I understand you're up 1-0 when the red card happens, but you're going to give up a goal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the reality when you have 10 men. You're probably going to give up a goal. So try to win the game, maybe? I just don't get it. What are you sending your team message-wise when you surrender like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so vehemently anti that, and I'm so, biased in this direction. And I know it's not always smart, and you could give up 3 goals and I'd look like a dumb idiot after the fact. But you have a half of football left to play. You're only up by 1 goal. Why sub out all your attackers, And I get it. It's style of play is different in the Premier League. There's, a lot of injuries for Chelsea. I get all that. But, just look at how they played in the Club World Cup. They were so exciting. They were so attacking-minded. I don't know why you completely flip your supposed identity, which what even is their identity at this point? I don't know why you flip it on its head in the Premier League.
Well, it's Palmer FC. That's their identity.
But you go, agreed. Like, if I was a player and I get that type of a white flag message, I'm going to be pissed. And again, like, this is just my like philosophy and my personality, so I understand that it's not always the right move, and tactically there's a lot of great coaches out there who do things the other way, but I just want to play fun football. I want to play beautiful, fun football, and you can't do that when you take out all your good attackers and you say, all right, sit back, give Brighton a ton of space, and just try to pack it in and hope that they don't sneak one in. You can't do it.
It sucks. I feel so bad for Esteval because he's looked phenomenal lately, and he's getting no chance to play because the rest of his teammates just decided that they're going to get reds every game, which means he has to be taken off. It seems like I don't want to say he made a mistake joining Chelsea because there's so much time left and he's got ability, but like, he's just not getting the opportunity right now, and I don't even know if Enzo trusts him yet at times, because otherwise he'd play him in the frickin' number 10 instead of Enzo Fernandez and then play two other wingers. Like, there's just so many baffling decisions right now, and I have to imagine behind the scenes Enzo Maresca hates these sporting directors because he clearly doesn't trust any young guys, any new players, because he never brings them on. He doesn't trust Josh, certainly, with the defense. There's no center backs now, and he doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't trust any keepers. He just has no trust in the team. So then what are we even doing here? Like, is there a team that he can feel that he has confidence in? I don't know. How do you even trust Gusto at times, and yet he still plays him a ton? Again, Enzo Fernandez somehow has all the trust, and yet has been terrible all season. But did get a goal, of course, so there's that for him to hang his hat on. I don't know. This team is just a disaster right now. I'm not even like panic negativity. They really just are in a super tough spot. They legitimately, before this international break, will not win a match, and that's something we need to accept. They have zero center backs right now. Zero center backs. It's going to be wild to see what happens here.
Yeah, and look, I know you want to win every match. Chelsea went through a rough point last year in terms of results, but the thing that worries me most, and again, take it from me, I'm a Bayern fan, but it's just this mentality that they seem to have. It's Enzo Maresca's decision making. And again, like, he did this to me last year where I was so pissed at all the quotes he would say, and I probably called for him to be sacked at certain points. And then he goes out and just blazes through the Club World Cup, sets the world on fire, and I'm left looking like a dumbass. But what is this week? Just, like, I get you're mad at the sporting directors. He's for sure mad at the sporting directors. Based off the quotes that I read from him, he's pissed at them. And I get it. Like, you had a great first season. You won 2 trophies. But, like, you still have to manage with the players that you have. You still have to, like, I don't want to sound like I'm saying, like, bootstrap yourself up, but, like, I don't know, tough luck. Don't just, like, throw a hissy fit and just stick with the certain guys that you like and all that stuff. Like, trust these young guys a little bit and just let the team play. I feel like he's almost like kneecapping them with a lot of these decisions that he makes. I mean, we saw it last week against United. He took out his attackers after that red card in the first couple minutes of the match and just went defensive. And, like,
yeah,
I don't know. I can't stand that. As a fan, I can't stand that.
Yeah, and I said it before the year. You have to buy into being young. If that's your model and strategy, buy into that. Play into that. Be aggressive as hell. Be fun as hell. Attack.
That's what it was in the Club World Cup.
I just don't get it. Here's the thing. Was it? Or did they just get lucky? Because I might start thinking that that's what happened. Think about their road to the final. Way weaker than the other half was.
Yeah.
Extra time against Benfica, where they did play better, but let's be honest, a little bit lucky there. They did have that loss to Flamengo in the group stage. And then they had to play Fluminense And João Pedro had a couple nice goals, but was that Maresca? I really wouldn't argue that it was. So was that actually a fun, like, PSG match? Yes, they dominated, and that was awesome. All credit to Maresca and the team for that. I think if we look back at this road, though, it maybe wasn't that special. And I think maybe that's part of the problem is, I don't know, it's just tough to think about. It really is. And the problem is I just don't know where Chelsea are going from here. I really don't see what path they're on. This could get worse. It could get very ugly. And that scares me because I think if they don't finish in a Champions League spot and don't do well in UCL, let's say, hypothetically, what do you do then? If you have a year off from, like, what would you? I don't want to forget I asked because I don't actually want to discuss that. But it's scary what could happen. It really is.
Yeah, it's a long way out. A lot can happen. Certainly, if you look at PSG last year, and I know it's way different, but they had a really rough Champions League league phase. Bayern beat them, don't forget, 1-0. And then they just turned things around and got hot at the right time. It's different for them. Certainly, they had their league wrapped up really early on, so it's different than a Premier League side for sure. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to think about positives, I did think James did okay today. He did about as much as he could have. I saw flashes from Estevao. I saw flashes from Neto of good play, but and you get that Enzo Fernandez goal. So, but other than that, I mean, I don't know if you would say anybody really had a good game.
Yeah, there's zero positives to take. What you said is correct in terms of those few positives, but completely outweighed by everything that happened. I mean, you can't even. You have to burn the tape. You have to have a moment now as a team where you come together and say, fuck it all right now. Like, forget everything that's happened these last few weeks. Let's turn the frickin' page, become a new team, have a new mentality going forward. You have to do that. There has to be a line drawn in the sand for this team where you just you leave it all in the past. You have to. I think that's the only way you can actually move forward, because the mistakes that they have made and what has gone down has been abysmal. So I really believe the only way you can come out from this is if you just wash all that away. And if Chelsea are able to do that, then we might have a way forward. Unfortunately, I do think that line will be drawn after this next international break. So I think talk to me at the end of October, and I'll tell you if we're on the right path forward.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, I don't know. It's on Enzo Maresca, in my mind, if you're a manager, to do that. And the one other thing I will say is that Chalobah is officially dead to me because he cut his hair.
Yeah, if you get rid of the dreads, which I loved, and then show up with a buzz cut and have a red card and destroy the game for Chelsea, I'm sorry, that's unforgivable, actually.
And he's a guy who I feel like defended when others hated him. So that takes a lot for me to say that.
He's had a rough road, and he's just a depth piece. And now at this point, he might just have to be sold. And the problem is he's one of our only healthy guys, but now he's going to be out 3 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chelsea now goes to play Benfica in the Champions League and hope to turn it around, and then Liverpool next week in the Premier League. So even though Liverpool lost today, it doesn't necessarily get any easier from here.
6-0 Liverpool.
Wow. All right, well, that's all I have to say. Do you have anything else to close out on?
No, just that Chelsea just really have made me sad, and it's unfortunate. You don't want sad, Jim.
Chelsea, please listen, because it's true. Mia san mia.
Go Brewers.
Subscribe also. Before you go, be sure to subscribe. And go Brewers. Come on, get that 1 seed and let's take it home for you.
Beautiful.